Hello. Today we're looking at the Bhagavad Gita, and I believe today's video is the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 45. The old scriptures mostly relate to the states of material being, the gunas. But you should attempt to transcend these gunas altogether, Arjuna. Go beyond duality, in a pure state of existence, free from notions of desire, centered in your soul. So today I'm doing a video just on that one verse, but as you can see, it's a big verse. It's got a lot in it. And the first thing is, in the last video we were talking about still the kind of Krishna's attack on the institutional religion of his time. I'm talking about the religionists looking for material comforts, doing elaborate ceremonies, not really understanding what they're doing. They're deluded. Their consciousness isn't focused. They're not focused on transcendence, right? Because the religion in his time is largely a set of by this time, very stratified rituals that were mostly meant to kind of propitiate the gods, right? To please the gods so that you could get something. You're cutting a deal with deities, right? And they were approaching religion, spirituality, from the point of view of, on the one hand, this kind of intellectual obsession, right? Scriptures, the Brahmin caste, all these complex rituals. And from the other point of view, as a kind of a system for social manipulation or for social control, right? Morality, social morality, keeping people in their place, the caste system, etc. And at the same time, as a way for people to direct some of their fears, their concerns, right? You go and you pray at the temple because you have a problem, so you'll go and you'll pray to Vishnu to heal your son, or to find you a good wedding prospect for your daughter, or to make your crops grow, or kings would go and do this to have victory in war, or to have a son, or these sorts of things, right? So it was this very materialistic kind of perspective, right? But more importantly, let's talk about the gunas, right? What are the gunas? Okay, the gunas are the equivalent in Indian spirituality to what the three alchemical elements were in Western alchemy. They represent different levels or states of material being, of material consciousness, right? And so they are kind of a spiritual tool, right? In Western spirituality, they're represented by salt, sulfur, and mercury, right? In the gunas, they're called tamas, rajas, and sattvas, right? And so the first of these, tamas, it means heavy. Rajas is like fiery, passionate. And then sattvas means truthful, right? And typically, and even to this day, ironically, in Hinduism, the gunas are thought of as kind of these three progressive states, right? That people who are ignorant, people who are low, and later on in the Bhagavad Gita, it goes into more detail about just what the gunas are, right? But people who are ignorant, people who are low, people who are wicked are in the tamas state of consciousness. People who are passionate, emotional, intense, excitable are in the rajas state, the fiery state of consciousness. And then people who are holy, who are faithful, who are elevated, who are calm, who are more deeply moral, are in the sattva state, right? And the Vedic system classified almost anything you could imagine into one of those three categories, right? So even foods, right? There were foods that were tamasic foods, right? That if onions, if you ate onions, then this was bad. It lowered your energies to that level, right? And then other foods raised your energies, right? And meat was generally, unless if it was meat that had gone bad, it was tamasic. If it was good meat, that even then it was of rajas quality, right? So it would inflame the passions, and you don't want too much of that, right? And generally, the point of view of the gunas that religionists had and still have, as I said, in Hinduism, even to this day, is this idea that the goal is to go from down here, from tamas, up to the sattva state, the heightened state, the calm state, the truthful state, the state where you're spiritually purified, right, and you're clean, right, and you're in an elevated, you're a holy person, right. And so it's kind of this game of ladders, right, where you have to do these things. If you don't eat certain foods, if you don't do certain naughty things, if you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't have sex, you don't listen to rock and roll music, then you'll be more spiritual than those terrible people that, don't bathe every day, or that eat rotted meat, or, all those horrible things that tamasic people do, right? And so Krishna says the old scriptures relate to these states of material being, the gunas. And then here's the line that somehow conventional exoteric Hindu religion, and almost anybody who's interpreted the Bhagavad Gita after this, has missed. He says, you should attempt to transcend these gunas altogether, to transcend all of the states, right? So Krishna is tossing out the whole game. He's knocking over the chessboard, right? He's saying this isn't you're missing the point. Right? The states are not progressive states. Everybody is all three things, right? You are at all times tamasic, you're all times rajas, you're all times sattvic, right? You're all three. Everybody in the world is heavy, everybody in the world is passionate, everybody in the world is truthful. You have all three states, right? And so you can try to be more of one or less of the other, or less of one and more of the other, but that's not the point. The point isn't to try to purify your material body. It's not to try to purify your material spirit, as you could say, not to worry about being a holy person. It's to jump out of all of that, right? To get beyond the gunas, to go beyond duality into this pure state of existence. Because everything you do within the gunas, within those states of existence, right, is still centered in your notions of desire, right? Desire in the sense of attachment, right? The same thing that the Buddha used to say. You're still trying to somehow win at this shell game, right? That you're playing with these three shells that you call the gunas, right? That if I'm just a holy person, if I just manage to stop eating meat and stop drinking, or if I manage to pray every day, or if I can just be nicer, if I can just, feed my dog every morning, then somehow that will mean I'm a spiritual person and all my problems will go away, right? Then I'll be one of the good guys and everybody will look up to me, right? Then I'll be the really spiritual person and somehow then I'll win, right? Maybe I won't die, I don't know, or when I die I'll go to heaven, right? These are the deals at the fundamental level. Any of that you're doing, any of this effort of purification is still just cutting a deal with God. It's still the 8-year-old boy praying to Jesus that it'll snow today so he doesn't have to take his exam at school, and promising that if Jesus will make it snow, then he'll, after that he'll always be nice to his little sister, right? He'll never hit her again, right? That's what you're doing. You're trying to make a deal with God, right? And what Krishna is saying here is go beyond that duality, saying the whole problem isn't where you are in the shell game. It's that you're not connected to the big picture, right? Don't screw around with the shell game. Don't screw around with the gunas, with trying to make the best deal out of what you are. Overcome yourself, right? Become part of the Godhead. Be one, centered in your soul, but a part of everything, right? Become vast, outdo yourself, right? That's the message. That's what you have to achieve. Go beyond duality. And so if you can do that, then you become one with this vast experience. And then you still have all the other things in life, but you're also operating at this whole other level that is outside of all those concerns. And the little you, the little man that is the one that has all these issues and that's praying to Jesus for snow, is going to be a much smaller part of this whole consciousness that you are, and can be put into its proper place. That's everything for today.